got 2 pieces of greaseproof paper and I've got 2 pieces of puff pastry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll these out, and what I don't want is I don't want to use lots and lots of flour, partly because I don't want it to keep retracting, okay? And if you don't have that grip, it won't retract. So learn to roll from the middle out. And I'm rolling on greaseproof just because I know this is the best way to shape your Pithivier without losing that round shape. So we're looking at the bottom to be about 2 mil thick, just enough just to stop your rolling pin from sticking. So just to make sure that it is the right size, you've got a 20 centimetre ring there. Just going to press in there to score that shape. Okay, so that's ready to go. I'm then going to get a smaller circle, put that in the centre, and just press into that as well, and that's going to be my guide for my filling. Okay, so 20 centimetres, and this is about a 15 centimetre, 16 centimetre ring, and that would just help to guide. So I've got that about 2 mil thick. Now I'm going to roll this one out, and this one needs to be about 3 mil thick, just slightly thicker. And the bottom one is obviously that little bit thinner, just to make sure it cooks through. We're going to cook it also on the cast iron tray, and that's really going to help that heat penetrate the bottom, stop it being raw underneath. So you see, I'm not lubing it underneath, I'm only doing the flour on the top, and that's just so that it holds its shape and it grips against the pastry. The pastry grips against the paper, so when I turn it over, it doesn't just flop off either. So you'd have made a frangipane, would have chilled. So I've got that guide on now where I've put that smaller ring. So if you wanted to now, I've made just a plain frangipane. So you could, as Harry said, that you could use a chocolate creme pat, put chocolate through it, so you have chocolate and almond. You could then even have like some toasted hazelnuts going through it, so you could have a chocolate hazelnut flavour to it, up to you. But no, so you can use lots of different things flavoured, like say Nutella, lots of different things, just a layer of jam on the bottom. So what I've got here is I've got a little bit of egg yolk with a tiny splash of milk. And what I'm going to do, just brush that very thin layer, that's going to just help it to stick together. Now I'm going to pipe inside the circle. As you get towards the centre, it can be that little bit higher. Now what I'm going to do is lay that one over the top. Peel the greaseproof off. And then just use my fingers to just lightly, I don't want to press down on the mixture. I want to get rid of any air bubbles. But I don't want to push it, so I'm pushing the mixture out. So if I want to shape it that little bit more, just like that, just to hold it into place. And then what I can do, so I get that exact mix in the centre, I then put the other ring around. Now I'm just going to push through, cut through. through the pastry. So now, I'm at this stage, I've got a nice shape to it, I've got a nice dome. I don't have to pick this up and move it where I'm going to distort the shape. So I can just slip this onto here. And now what you're going to do, put a layer of egg wash. If you do have the time, when you're doing your assessment, what you can do is let this egg yolk dry and do a second layer if you like. But try not to put too much on, because otherwise you get puddles of egg yolk and it won't dry properly. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave that in the blast chiller for about half an hour. What I want is that one, the egg yolk sets, but two, the filling firms up a little bit more, because it's going to go soft from just the heat of the kitchen. And by it being set, it means that when it starts cooking from the outside in, it means that it cooks, stops it leaking out the side, because we don't want to lose any of the mixture. So half an hour, and then we're going to do our scoring. So a couple of things important to do is the scoring. So we've glazed it first, and always glaze it first, then we score. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use the back of the knife, and I'm just going to tip around one way, just do a little diagonal. Scores, it's completely up to you how you decorate this. So I'm just going to work my way all the way around. So I've gone one way round with a little diagonal knife cut. Now it's up to you. If you wanted to, you could always use a little kind of ring cutter, and use a little ring cutter at the edges, so you get a little kind of scalloped edge to it. It's up to you. That's a different decoration for a Pithivier. And then a hole in the top, just to make sure that any steam escapes and it doesn't explode. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to just use my knife, and I'm just going to slowly spin grease-proof round as I score. So we're going to bake this for 180 degrees for 30 minutes, and then if you want to, you can do just like what we did as we spoke about it last week, what we did on the when we made our apricot dartoir, where afterwards you can then dust it with a light amount of icing sugar, high oven, 240, a couple of minutes, it caramelizes on the outside. Because some of the things that you're going to score on, obviously your preparation, your lamination, but at the end your baking and your glazing. So really important that you use one of these trays. If you want, you can go around and produce even more lines for scoring. But it's very important that you use the cast iron, so you get that really well cooked base. And then when we take it out the oven, when we finally baked it, if we've chosen to glaze it with the icing sugar on the top or not, you then need to rest it on a cooling rack, just to make sure the steam doesn't soften the underneath. Okay, so this is where again you can be creative and things with your scoring, but it's got to look very nice, uniform and precise if you want to get top marks. Okay? Cool.